My name is Steve Everett. I'm the GIS and Special Projects Manager with the City of Greensboro, formerly the GIS Manager with Orange County, Gaston County, City of Sanford, City of Burlington. So been doing this a little while. It's interesting. I've probably given 30 presentations at conferences over the years. I don't think I've ever been the first speaker at the first session. So I've been the last speaker quite a few times, but never the first. So I'll let Keith introduce himself.
Sure. My name is Keith Watkins. I'm the GIS and EAM Administrator for the City of Greensboro. I work on a lot of the database structure in the background and serve a lot of the reports to department heads and managers throughout the city relating to their asset management systems and pretty much whatever this guy tells me to do.
We're actually using my laptop on this presentation, not the conferences. Some of you may be wondering if you can see some of the stuff we're about to show you, and the answer is no. All the insights pages we're looking at are running on ArcGIS Enterprise on our internal system. So I'm actually connected through VPN back to our network to be able to show like some live demonstrations here. So none of the stuff we're going to look at is actually out on ArcGIS Online. So just a warning in case you're wanting to try to look for a URL or something. So, how many people in here have used Insights or thought about using Insights? A few people? Good. I did this presentation at C-Rug in Palm Beach last year and had a really good turnout there as well, with a lot of questions at the end. So apparently this is a popular topic for some people. We got drug into Insights pretty early on and have worked really closely with Esri over the last few years with product development and feature enhancement and whatnot. So Esri's been really good to work with us and really try to advance what we're trying to do. We're going to start out talking about the pros and cons of Insights. I know Esri always wants you to, they want you to talk about how great everything is and how easy it all works, but we know that that's not true, right? Because some of this software is tough to use. And Insights is no different. So we'll start out and just get the bad stuff over with, the things that make Insights difficult to use. First and foremost is that you need somebody with data management and ETL expertise. Unless you're showing some really simple data, which might be better served just in a regular dashboard or an experience builder, if you're wanting to show something that requires insights, the data is probably going to require some work on the back end. We've been extremely fortunate to have some really good database people with the City of Greensboro. I have an employee named Skip Daniels, who's literally a wizard. The guy's amazing. And we've brought data in from probably a dozen enterprise systems across the city, from fire to asset management to planning, code enforcement, you name it. And we've done a lot of work with this data, a lot of transformation, bringing it from their core enterprise systems over to GIS to be able to work with Insights and actually show the way we want to show it in Insights. But if you don't have somebody that knows your data, if you don't have data stewards and people that understand the back end of their systems and how their data is managed on the enterprise side, much less the GIS side, then it's going to be difficult to really leverage Insights to its full ability. Another issue is a couple things we ran into. One was direct connections to SQL Server databases and other systems. Insights require SQL Server 2014 or higher. And we had several legacy systems running on SQL Server 2012 that wouldn't connect, so it required a lot of ETL work to copy data over to be able to show data from those systems. So if you want to show live data from, like, say, an asset management system, you've got to have SQL Server 2014 or higher. Another issue you're going to run into is Insights will expose flaws in your data. We've worked on a lot of Insights projects, pretty much every one we've worked on. People go in with an expectation of all this amazing stuff Insights is going to do and the value it's going to provide, and their data comes up and it's just riddled with, calculations that don't look right or don't add up, and hours and labor and things that just don't pan out. And so we've ended up, people either kind of just give up and say, no, we don't want Insights, it's making our data look bad, or they go back and fix the problems in their data. But it can be alarming for some people to realize what kind of shape their data is in. But if you really start using insights deeply, you'll quickly, see what level of transparency you've got in your data. Another problem that we didn't realize until we got into this, separate licenses are required for insights between ArcGIS and ArcGIS Enterprise. So if you buy an insights license, it has to be for one or the other. And we do have a lot of users who use it on both platforms, so they have to buy 2 licenses. You can't just buy one and transfer back and forth. It's directly dedicated either to Enterprise or either to AGOL. Let's see. Another issue is Insights does have some limited functionality. We were looking at it the city was looking at buying like Power BI, which of course comes with like a 6-figure price tag. And we were thinking, wow, is there something we can do that maybe we can hold off buying Power BI? Is there some tool we can use to get around that? And we had a few people using Tableau, but Tableau, didn't integrate quite as seamlessly with Esri. So we started looking at Insights, and Esri started promoting Insights. So we really got into that. And Insights was like $478 per license, which in Tableau was $700 per license. So we ended up buying about a dozen Insights licenses and started using it across the city. And it does like 95% of what we want, but we have had some users who have really, really pushed the edge. And I'll get to that in a minute when we look at a couple of the examples. But we'll see that Insights even though it's a great product, at this point, it can't do everything. Some of the limitations were like cross-query capability. It requires predefined filtering. There's also some data caching issues with it. Keith ran into a big issue last week. Do you want to give some update on what you saw last week as an issue?
Yeah. So within Insights, one of the best ways to share your data is to share the page itself. So all of the templating that you do to set up the individual charts, the individual tables, the cross-filtering and predefined filters, that all exists inside of a workbook. But to share with other people within your organization, you share something they call a page. So it's one page from within the workbook. And that is connected directly to the same data set. But what it does is it essentially creates in the background, a hosted feature layer that serves this page. So in order for that data to be updated, even if you're connecting to like one of your SQL Server databases, it still has to run a process hourly or daily or weekly to update those figures that are on there. And so what we started hearing a few weeks ago that people were not able to export data the same way. You can usually flip the card over and export a CSV for any of the charts you see. But what was happening is because we had an hourly interval refresh rate, every time that it was refreshing, it was revoking the shared permissions on each of those pages. So we would go back in and I'd see that, hey, they can't export data or they can't export the image because this checkbox is undone. I'll just check it. An hour later, check it, and they were gone. And so I hooked a call with Esri, and it's an actual bug in several versions. So they're working on it. But one of the critical components of Insights is being able to share that data. Run the filtering, make your selections, get the data you're looking for, and then spit it into a CSV so you can give it to your manager. But they don't have that. And unless you want to turn down the frequency of which it gets refreshed and put it so it's only daily, someone's still got to check that box. So we have actually moved into some dashboards this last week, but we'll get to that.
Let's do all the good stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff.
Let's talk about the good stuff.
Yeah, we'll do some good stuff here. One of the first things that we tell people that we're trying to sell this to, not really selling, we don't work for Esri, but we try to show that they can manage their data and their reporting on their own very easily because we are inundated with requests from all over the city because all of a sudden GIS can do anything, which it can, but it takes time, it takes ETL work, it takes all this stuff to get these products. So we were really hoping to put something into the hands of our users that was more advanced than Excel, something that they could share, like everyone could work from the same workbook, same page. They could get to know their data very easily by dragging and dropping fields from the column. You drag over the labor cost for a series of work orders, it's a chart. You can do it, you can look at it by date, you can look at it by system, and so on. And it makes it very easy for people to go through and get to know their own data. They can investigate themselves, and all we have to do is make sure that they can have access to their data. And so this is good, but then you realize that people don't have very good data. So when they start trying to pull their stuff over, even though it's easy to use, it still comes back to us and it's twice as much work. So good, it's good, yeah. There's critical data throughout all organizations that it's kind of binary. It's either spatial or non-spatial. And Insights is a really good way to leverage both sides of that coin because you don't need to pull in XY location for Insights. It can look at just tabular data, it can look at a CSV, you can pull in just a geodatabase table if you want to. It doesn't have to have a mapping component. So you can use it as a statistical analysis software without any idea about what a map may be. And so management likes this because they don't know what GIS means. They just like their data and they like to be able to spit it out. So it's functional for both spatial and non-spatial data, which is a huge selling point that we keep trying to sell to people, but they don't really want to use it because they're like, oh, we have to do our own work still. Who knew? Power BI is, like Steve said, quite a bit more expensive. Insights is a much lower cost. And if you have data and it's ready and you have someone that can kind of show you what you're doing, you can create 100 workbooks and just share them out. And you can have data that gets updated. You can have a specific workbook for each asset within an organization. So for instance, we can look at all the work order data for a specific building. And you can have a page just for that, filtered at the database level, feeding into that chart. And it works well. People can export the data when it works. They use it to identify major issues in their data, which is critical. For our work order management system, the system that I help manage, if a person who's working on a project puts in 10 hours of labor, that looks just fine on the data set. But sometimes they accidentally fat finger some data and it's 1,000 hours. And until you actually are able to look at the data in something like Insights or a dashboard, and you can see, well, whoa, why is there 1,000 hours within the span of 24 hours? It helps them identify those areas where they need to maybe talk to their employees, put a little bit more care into putting data in, or just let them know that all the metrics that they've been working for the last 2 years are very far off because no one's been paying attention. But Insights helps you identify these very quickly and at a glance without having to do much filtering on there. And again, it puts the analytical power in the hands of executives. As soon as you hand them an Insights page that's properly manicured, you'd say, they can use their own filters, they can choose the date ranges that they're looking for, and they can export the data very easily. They don't have to know anything. It's even easier than Excel for most part. You don't have to know any 20 commands. It's just a button, and you export it, and they love it when they use it. And they don't use it that much. So it's good. It's all really good. Now, overall, it looks great. I mean, I like using it for just processing my own data before I put it into a static dashboard. You know, you get an idea of what should this cross filter be like? What actual functionality am I trying to pull from the data here? And so it gives me an opportunity to play with the data, identify trends, and then get an idea of the queries that I want to include. And most of the time, I put it in at the database level. I use a lot of views, statistical analysis in SQL. So you don't have to use the same stuff. But it's just an informational tool. It's data-driven decisions about our data, not about making any moves in the organization, but it helps us identify those key characteristics of our stuff. And let Steve play around a little bit on some insights.
Yeah, I kind of threw that last bullet in there because we've made a few of these that look so awesome that even though if the data may not be right or it's not functioning right, the executives higher up just love and think it looks really cool. And they're really anxious to share them. So
Good.
I'm going to jump out now. So that we're going to show you a dashboard or an Insights dashboard here. This is probably one of the coolest Insights dashboards that anybody's made yet. This is one that really pushed Esri to the boundary. What's Scott's last name?
You mean Todd?
Let's go with Scott. With Esri.
Scott Skandusky.
Scott Sandusky, yeah. So Scott was over the Insights product, and he started working with us on this dashboard, and we really pushed the limits of what Insights would do. And this dashboard alone actually drove a lot of the functionality that's in Insights now, the current versions of Insights. As far as being able to search stuff by dates and do cross-query filtering and stuff. We had a super sharp guy in the fire department who understood the back end of their fire system, firehouse very, very well. He'd been working on it for 30 years and knew the data inside and out and was not afraid of this technology. And so he worked very closely with Esri and with us. You can see the tabs across the bottom here, like demand by station area, daily demand. I'm going to jump over to like structure fires. This Insights project here basically pulls in every imaginable piece of data from the fire department and allows you to do some type of analytical work against all of it. And they actually use this dashboard to help locate their newest fire station. So this was like the primary tool they used to sell to the city manager's office and the city council. This was how they did their primary analytics. And it's been working really fast until everybody came in the room, of course. Yeah. When I was in here by myself, it was like zipping along, so.
His laptop gets nervous.
Yep. So you can see there's a lot of stuff happening here. You can start like, if you wanted to, when you filter these, everything you click on here, it filters across the entire dashboard. So I just clicked on kitchen, cooking area, kitchen fires. So now like all these hotspots you see up here directly related to kitchen fires, all the statistics are all related to kitchen fires now. And I'll quickly jump over and show response times. This is a good one. It should come in pretty quick. Yeah, so you can see like response time greater than 5 minutes. We can change that and make it like response time greater than 10 minutes. This was one of the tools they used to help locate a new fire station. So. And again, you can filter all these responses by fiscal year, alarm hour, incident counts. Just scroll down here. Yeah, I won't inundate you with all the ins and outs of every detail of this, but as you can see, it's fairly impressive here. And there's a number of EMS assist areas, nature code surge, structure fires, medical fires, daily demand. So there's just a ton of things. This guy decided to take all the data from the entire fire department and build it into one Insights project. And again, this really pushed Esri, and I think helped develop the product really to where it is today. Because there was a lot of things Insights wouldn't do with this data that we wanted it to. And Esri came through a couple iterations over a few months and actually added that functionality in, which I thought was very impressive. I've never seen Esri react that fast. We thought maybe in a couple years they would add it in, and like within months they had functionality added in. So I'm going to let Keith jump over. That was the fire one. Keith's going to jump over and talk about some of the non-spatial data with asset management.
So within the city, we have millions of assets. Every street sign, every pothole they fix becomes an asset. Every road segment is an asset. And in order to report on that sort of data, to get an idea of how much you're actually spending, what the city's putting forth to keep those things updated, we've, over the years, used a lot of different kinds of reporting. We've done direct database connection to Crystal reports. We have Cognos reports, which is right within Hexagon's EAM. And we have other mechanisms like dashboards. But as soon as we started digging into Insights, this gave us an opportunity to really delve down into the individual systems that we're writing work against. This dashboard is for our facilities maintenance team. They manage a plethora of sites all throughout the city, from every fire station to every park. They have to go through and make sure everything's maintained. And for the longest time, if you wanted to run a report and get individual data for an individual station or an individual building, you'd have to use a specific report, input the specific parameters, and someone would have to build that report in the background. And with Insights, it allowed me to put all of the EAM data for specific departments and discuss with the stakeholders what kind of data they're trying to pull out, what do they want to know. And what they want to know is, what does this building cost per year? What does it cost to run HVAC for a year in this building, or to maintain it for the most part? And so what we can do here, if we unselect these, these are the filters that run throughout the page. You'll see the charts down below. But if we just want to look at the Bryan Park complex in the city of Greensboro, this filter shows only that data. And then we can go through and select a specific trade on there. So if I want to see just the work that's related to, let's do HVAC, just HVAC for this one building. It drills right down in. You can see labor hours for this system on here. They only spent 4.5 hours fixing the HVAC system. So you're able to drill down into these specific assets. You can see where the work orders are coming from. Some of these are from citizen request. I mean, that means somebody called our call center and say, hey, it's hot. Let's get someone out here to fix it. Or it has to do with corrective maintenance that maybe someone who was doing an inspection could see that. But what Insights allows you to do is just any kind of question you can think of relating to your data. If you know your data well enough, you can identify that here. You can drill all the way down to the very base level, to an individual work order and to an individual employee. There's also, and again, this is the non-spatial component. Our EAM work order data, 70% of it has asset location. I mean, we're looking at XY for street signs and for buildings and all this stuff. So we have a good amount of it, but a ton of it just is not related to spatial assets for the most part. I mean, we know where the HVAC system is within this building, but that XY is not necessarily attached to the subordinate data. So you can do some fancy ETL work and find it, but you can also just show the data without needing to know that spatial quality. We got just a minute left, so I'll show you just the spatial component here. This is another work order system that we have for our Parks and Rec department, and this is just tree maintenance throughout the city. This is just, you can see where most of the work is being completed within the city, just aggregated points. You can see the split up of work order types. I mean, preventative maintenance makes up a massive portion of the work they do, try to fix it before it breaks. Otherwise, you're looking at corrective and so on. But you can get an idea of what you're spending for different types of work, for different areas. If you just want to know maintenance, it's as easy as clicking here, and it filters everything below it. So you can see you spend 121 hours doing tree removal, mulching, and then so on. You can see labor hours by year. And really, like I was saying before, you can see some of these are quite a bit higher than others. So you may notice that there's 85 hours worked during this month, but only 4 hours worked the next month. Maybe there's an error in the data. Maybe someone put in too much labor or not enough labor. This is just a tool to use to get that data for them. And just show you real quick, any of the charts that you see within Insights, you can flip around. And as long as the permissions have been shared and they don't get revoked when they get refreshed, you can export it right to a CSV. So all the digging that you do, you can just spit it right out and submit it to whoever needs it, or pretty it up in Excel if you want to. But there's a lot of possibilities for pulling your data into Insights, showcasing, like this is mainly eye candy for someone who doesn't really have time to investigate completely, but they can say, okay, well, this is all the tree maintenance work orders. Okay, most of the work is being done here, you say? That's good. It's good. It's all good. And as long as it works, it's all set.
Yeah, I think one of the big takeaways from this product is that this is one of the first times that Esri has like stepped out into the non-spatial world, you know, and given us a non-spatial tool that didn't require some type of map or XY coordinates. So, stop.
All right.
You guys have any questions? You got 5 minutes.
We do not. No, we've been an EAM shop since 2004, I think. So we're doing everything with related databases and just linked servers, really pulling it from EAM. There's some work that I do in there with Python and some SQL to kind of clean up the data, apply those XY coordinates. If I know the coordinates of the parent system, I can attribute it down. But it's mostly just related databases that we go into.
It's a product called it used to be Import EAM, now it's Hexagon EAM.
Who else is going to go and buy an Insights license? We'll let you know when they fix the bug. Hopefully Jay's not here.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.